everyone! Once again, welcome to our YouTube channel, Research Ready and Student Matters Hub by Talklin. Siguro ngayon, tapos na kayong gumawa ng inyong theoretical framework. And then, from your theoretical framework, nakapag-derive na kayo ng mga constructs or concepts na ginawa niyong variables. After that, nakagawa na kayo ng research questions nyo, whether quantitative na merong descriptive at inferential, at yung qualitative na merong central, at saka sub-questions or mixed methods naman na merong hybrid or integrated question. Ngayon, ang tamang panahon para makagawa na kayo ng inyong conceptual framework. Ang conceptual framework ang makakapagpakita or makakapagbigay sa inyong readers ng mas malaking feature or konsepto or idea kung paano nyo ginawa or paano nyo gagawin ang inyong research paper. Kasi kabilang sa components or elements ng inyong conceptual framework, yung variables na ginamit ninyo, yung theory na inyong ginamit sa inyong research, ganun din yung mga proseso, kung ito ay proposal na gagawin ninyo, at kung tapos na yung inyong research study, yung mga ginawa nyong methods or methodologies, pati na rin yung output ng study nyo. Hindi ko kayo tuturuan ng paggawa ng IPO or yung IBDB model. But ang tuturo ko sa inyo is ano ba talaga yung dapat na components na laman ng isang conceptual framework. Ang unang key element na dapat ninyong alamin pag gagawa kayo ng conceptual framework, syempre number 1 yung tinatawag nating theories or yung inyong theoretical framework na ginawa bago kayo gumawa ng conceptual framework. Kasi yung theories ang magiging gabay ninyo para ma-identify nyo yung mga relationship between variables. So, it's very significant na nakapag-identify kayo ng tamang theory o teorya o kaya modelo para magamit sa inyong research project. Pero syempre, iba yung pamamaraan ng pagpili ng theoretical framework na ituro ko na rin yan sa ating mga past videos. At kailangan din natin i-avoid yung mga common mistakes na maaari nating ma-encounter sa paggawa ng theoretical framework. Pero sa video na ito, gusto kong i-emphasize kung gaano ka-importante ang inyong theoretical framework kasi kung wala iyon, hindi magiging kompleto ang elements ng inyong conceptual framework. Ang second element naman ng conceptual framework bukod sa theoretical model ay yung concepts or constructs. So, saan natin makukuha yung tinatawag nating concepts or constructs? Makukuha natin siya sa theories na inaral natin na best fit sa ating study. Dito natin ma-identify yung tinatawag nating independent at saka dependent variables. Yung nagiging cause at saka yung nagiging effect dun sa ating study. Dapat nakalagay ito or nakareflect vividly sa ating conceptual framework. Kasi nakikita ng mga readers natin kung ano ba yung concepts or constructs na ginamit o gagamitin natin sa ating study base sa conceptual framework na ginawa natin. Yung number 3 naman na elements ng ating conceptual framework na dapat present sa ating framework ay yung tinatawag nating relationships. That ma-establish natin yung relationships ng mga variables na ginamit natin, yung processes na kasama or isasama natin para makuha natin or ma-attain natin yung ating objectives at yung output ng ating research paper. So, dapat maliwanag dun sa pag-conceptualize natin ng ating research paper. Ano ba itong mga idea? Ano ba itong mga concepts na nilagay natin dun sa ating research paper? At a glance, nakikita na ng ating reader, pati ng ating panel members, oh, ito pala yung konsepto ng researcher. Mas madaling naiintindihan kasi nailagay niya yung mga tamang elements at yung ideas na dapat at present na nandun sa kanyang conceptual framework. Bukod pa dun sa kanyang mga explanatory statement. And without this, kung hindi ko pa binabasa yung explanatory statement, by just looking at your conceptual framework, alam ko na kung kompleto yung ingredients or elements ng isang tamang conceptual framework. Yung number 4 natin, yung tinatawag na visual presentation. Yun yung didiscuss ko mamaya in detail kung paano kayo gagawa ng inyong conceptual framework. So usually, it includes shapes But be sure na yung pipiliin nating shapes sa ating conceptual framework ay mag-fit dun sa pangangailangan ng ating research project. It should look formal at the same time as reader see it, nakikita niya kung ano yung buong konsepto ng inyong research paper. Gawin na natin yung example natin ng ating conceptual framework or yung tinatawag nating free-form conceptual framework. Once again, as long as complete yung elements na sinabi natin kanina, makakagawa tayo ng isang conceptual framework. For example, our research title is Students' Perception of Research Subject and Their Output. So obviously, this is quantitative. We have independent variable, which is the perception of the research subject by the students, and dependent variable is their output. After I have read literature regarding this one, I have found out that the best fitted theory that I can use is self-efficacy by psychologist Albert Bandura. Kasi yung kanyang self-efficacy theory, it's a broader social cognitive theory. Nakapokus siya sa capabilities para ma-organize at ma-execute ng isang tao yung kanyang mga action para makakuha siya ng magandang perspective sa isang situation. Kung i-apply natin ito sa ating example na research title, this theory can be used para maintindihan natin kung papaano yung student confidence ng isang estudyante sa kanyang research capabilities or yung quote-in-quote, tinatawag nating self-efficacy ay nai-influence or merong impact sa kanyang research performance. Now, base sa ating pagbabasa sa teoryang ito, nakuha natin yung mga sumusunod na constructs. Ito yung tinatawag nating interest in research, yung perceived relevance, yung mastery experiences, yung observational experiences, social perception social persuasion, at saka research output. Okay, as I have explained, as a researcher, you will know what kind of figure you're going to include para ma-conceptualize ninyo figuratively kung ano yung inyong conceptual framework. So, in my example, gumamit ako dito ng unang figure. Ang nilagay ko dito ay book, which has something to do also with doing research. With this book, I might include all the concepts and constructs I got from the self-efficacy theory of Albert Bandura, which ranging from interest in research, perceived relevance, up to research output. So, lahat ito ay ilalagay ko ito sa aking first figure. Now, ito naman, kung mapapansin ninyo, yung second figure na nilagay ko naman, it's actually nakatungtong yung book doon sa second figure na nilagay ko. Kasi ang ilalagay ko dito sa ilalim is yung foundation ng ating research, which is the theory or the theoretical framework that I will be using. And this will be Albert Bandura's self-efficacy theory. Now, in the past lesson that I had, sabi ko pwede kayong magkaroon ng core theories, pwede rin kayong magkaroon ng supporting theories. If in case, gusto nyo pa ng ibang supporting theories sa pag-aaral na katulad nito, ay pwede nyo rin siyang ilagay dito bukod kay Albert Bandura. And then next, maglalagay ako ng arrow para sa isang figure. Kasi hindi naman po pwedeng independent lang itong mga variables natin at saka yung theoretical framework or theoretical foundation na gagamitin natin. So, kailangan meron din tayong flow saan ba pupunta ang ating research para ito ay makompleto. Okay, yung next figure naman na ilalagay ko, ang ilalagay ko naman dito yung mga proseso na gagamitin ko or ginamit ko para makompleto ko yung aking research study at ma-attain ko yung aking research objective. So, part ng processes yung validation ng instrument, kung nagpa-validate ka ng instrument at hindi ka naman nag-adopt. Yung data gathering through the validated instrument, pwede ka rin maglagay ng iba pang methods na gagamitin mo. Halimbawa, katulad ng binanggit ko kanina, bukod dun sa data, numerical data na kukuhanin mo, ay magkakanda ka ng interview para magkaroon ka ng methodological triangulation. Iko-confirm mo yung results na lumabas sa iyong numerical analysis. So, pwede nating lagyan ng triangulation dito sa process. At lastly, interpretation and analysis of data. Now, ang susunod naman na makikita ninyo, yung first, second, at saka third figure ay ikinulong ko siya sa isang box, yung kulay blue. Kasi as a researcher, naniniwala ako that these figures are really interconnected or has a relationship with each other, including its contents. Kasi hindi ko naman makukuha yung output ko without doing all of this one. Kaya ikinulong ko siya sa isang figure. Okay, after that, I have included again another arrow, and this arrow represents that it encompasses all the processes, the systems, and the concepts and constructs that are included in the past diagram or figure that I had. Kasi ang susunod naman dito ay yung output na ng aking study. Ang output ng study base dun sa aking research title, ang nakikita kong output is policy recommendations on students' research skills improvement. So that will be the output of my study. So you see, we are already done making the conceptual framework. As simple as that. As long as you try to enlist first all the necessary key elements na kailangan sa iyong conceptual framework. At pag nakompleto mo na sila, you try to visualize. Paano ko ba gagawin ang aking conceptual framework at ito yung aking mga key elements. Yung number 5 at last key elements ng conceptual framework ay yung tinatawag nating explanatory statements or yung explanatory notes. Ano bang ibig sabihin nito? Kung nakagawa tayo ng isang conceptual framework at sinunod natin yung 4 key elements na meron tayo, nakabuo na tayo ng ating framework. Pero hindi yun sapat. So we have to explain textually, ano ba yung laman ng ating conceptual framework. Siyempre, dapat ma-establish natin yung concepts na ginamit natin, ano yung relationship nito sa theory, ano yung kinalaman ng process, at ano ba yung magiging output ng study natin. Yes, nakagawa tayo ng conceptual framework na maayos at maganda, pero mas makakatulong kung meron tayong explanatory statement para pag nabasa ng mga co-researchers natin or other researchers or future researchers, mas madali nilang maiintindihan kung ano yung konsepto mo bilang isang researcher base doon sa iyong research project. Okay, so ito yung example ng explanatory statements ng ating conceptual framework. So kung mapapansin natin dito sa ating explanation ng ating conceptual framework, binanggit natin dito kung ano yung ginamit nating theory. So basically, ang ginamit nating theory dito ay yung kay Albert Bandura. So ano nga ba yung kinalaman ng theory ni Albert Bandura? So i-explain din natin yan dito sa ating conceptual framework. So kung mapapansin niyo, it investigate how students' beliefs in their research capabilities influence their research performance. Particularly, sinasabi rin dito na yung kay Albert Bandura has something to do with the individual's confidence in their ability to complete tasks and achieve desired outcomes, which explains particularly kung ano yung ibig sabihin ng self-efficacy theory ni Albert Bandura at paano ito ginamit dun sa recent study na meron tayong framework kanina. Then, i-discuss din dito yung mga variables na nakuha doon sa concept ni Albert Bandura. So these are the variables that had been identified, particularly when we study the concepts and constructs, which is applicable dito sa ating study. And then, you can also see how the processes have been identified in the explanation. So, lahat ng proseso ay nailagay din dating dito sa ating explanatory statement or explanatory note. And then lastly, lumabas din yung ating output ng study, which is policy recommendation, at lalagyan natin siya ng explanation kung ano yung purpose ng output. And that is to enhance students' research skills and fostering supportive environment conducive to academic success. If we are going to look at our explanatory notes or statements, makikita natin kompleto lahat yung components or key elements ng ating conceptual framework, which will make it easier for your reader and panel members to understand you as a researcher as well as your research project. Wow, dyan natatapos ang ating lesson video sa paggawa ng conceptual framework. Ngayon, meron ka ng idea kung paano ka makakagawa ng freestyle conceptual framework as long as lahat ng elements ay nandoon sa iyong conceptual framework. So, walang problema kung ikaw mismo yung gagawa. Just make it formal, descriptive, and very clear in the eye of your panel members as well as other researchers na makakabasa at makakakita ng iyong papel. Now, kung nakatulong sa iyong video na to, please write your comments below. And also kindly share this video to other researchers in our YouTube community para matulungan din sila na mas maintindihan kung ano nga ba ang conceptual framework. Always remember, we unlock insights to empower your minds. Thanks for watching everyone and God bless.